Hey guys, another video for our healthcare in Japan playlist. So in the past, crooked teeth were not only super common in Japan, but also often considered to be quite stylish. So some of you guys might be familiar with a style called yaba. And yaba was when usually an extra tooth had come through, usually at the top, canine, and was sticking out. So the thumbnail I used on this video is of a girl with that condition, right, where one tooth is sticking out at the top, and it was considered to be really cute because they sort of thought it was sort of youthful and cute. So they all thought it was cute. Well, not everybody, but it was generally considered to be cute. It was a bit of a fashion thing. In fact, it was so popular that some girls who had straight teeth or didn't have that thing going on actually had caps put on their tooth to make it look like that, to make it stick out, right? So it was actually just a cosmetic thing, fake one, to make it look like they had a fake tooth sticking out the top. So what added to it is there were lots of famous girls like from girl bands and from television and so on who had that feature, and models and so on. So it sort of perpetuated it so that it was considered to be cute, right? So that added to the fact that there is a Japanese cultural thing about traditionally laughing out loud. Usually, not always, but often, people cover their mouths, particularly ladies, cover their mouths when they laugh. Ha 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 ha. And it's a cultural thing. In the past it was sort of considered to be brash to laugh ha 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 ha, you know. So generally when they laugh they'd cover their mouth with their hand, and it's still really common now, and older girls and older ladies and younger girls as well, quite often when they laugh they'll cover their mouth with their hand. So when you add all these things together, the fact that crooked teeth, you know, often considered to be stylish, and getting teeth straightened was not considered to be a necessity, and the covering the mouth when you laugh and all these other things added together, it was just considered that getting your teeth straightened wasn't a big thing. So over the last few years, there's been a couple of young people in our house who we were advised by the dentist that, okay, if you don't get these teeth straightened or get braces and rectifying treatments happening, the kids will end up with crooked teeth because their mouths are too small for their teeth, which apparently is quite common for kids, particularly Japanese kids. So we had to decide if we were prepared to spend a lot of money. Healthcare in Japan, usually for kids, is free. It's included in the health insurance that we pay. And adults have a small premium they have to pay, but usually kids are free. However, if it's medically required, if the dentist says, oh, we have to remove this tooth, or we have to do this, we have to do that, if it's medically required, it's covered by health insurance. But if it's cosmetic, it's not covered by health insurance, which means if it's just going to be that the kid ends up with crooked teeth, then that's not covered by health insurance. So we had to bite the bullet with two kids, and spend a ridiculous amount of money. I'll tell you, starting at $5,000 for each kid, and it's not over. You know, it's going on. So there's an extra $1,000 here, an extra $1,000 there, and it's really ridiculously expensive. It's just cripplingly expensive, you know. But we were showing X-rays and showing what would happen if we didn't do it, and the crooked teeth thing was going to be quite extreme. So we decided that we just had to do it, right? So we've put ourselves in a bit of under a bit of financial stress to do it because we considered it had to be done. So because that's happened in our house, that made me more aware of such things, which meant that our family, friends, and our friends of our family and other family, extended family, cousins and so on, I started to notice kids with mouthpieces and braces and all sorts of other variants, you know. And so I started to ask kids about that sort of thing, and I started to ask their parents about that sort of thing as well. And just the more aware of it I became, the more I started to notice it, and seeing how common it was. And when we were at events with our kids' classmates, you know, how many kids in the class had mouthpieces and things, and you talk to their parents, and oh yeah, and one of our kids sleeps with a plastic, if I remember, I'll put it up on the screen, with this plastic rectifying mouthpiece thing. That's to sleep with it in a mouth every night, and there's lots of kids doing that as well. And we noticed the iDental dentist clinic in our town had a single-story building, and it was pretty sort of modest, and then suddenly they spent a lot of money and built a double-story building, and obviously they're doing really, really well, and their specialty is rectifying kids' teeth, and they're doing really, really well. So I started to wonder if it was just because recently I've become aware of it, because, you know, 20 years ago I can't remember anybody. I mean, now I even know some adults that are wearing braces now as well, and 20 years ago I can't remember anybody I knew, kids or adults, who had any sort of braces or any mouthpieces or anything like that. And so I started to wonder if, oh, maybe it's just because now I'm aware of it, because it's in our family too, so now I'm aware of it. Maybe that's why I'm noticing. So the opportunity presented itself. I was talking to a family friend who's actually a dentist, and we were talking about something else, and then it led to something else, and then I said something about my kids' teeth, and the rectifying, and then I grabbed the opportunity. It suddenly struck me. I said to him, is it just me? I mean, 20 years ago I can't remember anybody wearing mouthpieces or braces or anything else, and now it seems all the kids, you know, the classmates of our kids and their cousins and all the kids that you see out and about, not all of them, but a lot of them seem to have mouthpieces and braces and things. So is it just that I'm noticing it, or is it actually a thing? And he said, yeah, it's a thing. It's become, the fashion's changed basically. So the old days where the crooked teeth thing was sort of cute, or the yaba thing was considered to be cute, that idea has changed, and the idea of straight white teeth. In fact, that dentist actually has just started doing some new treatment program that's really expensive. It's cosmetic, and it was between, each treatment was between $200 and $1,100 to whiten teeth. And I said, how who's that popular with? And he said, ladies and older ladies are doing it, spending huge amounts of money having their teeth whitened, and then the parents are spending huge amounts of money having their kids' teeth straightened. They're not being straightened, are they? They're sort of being guided, aren't they, with the braces and the mouthpieces and the things. So it's interesting. It's a really significant change that seems, it sort of happens slowly, so I didn't notice. And it wasn't until I started talking to him about it and realised that, yeah, he said it really is a thing. That he's been a dentist for 40 years, that guy. Quite often healthcare professionals here, doctors and dentists and so on, they'll work until they're 80 years old. You know, the guy that does my aviation medicals is 85 years old, and this guy's 70, might be 71, and he's still a practicing dentist. He's practicing for 40 years, and so, you know, he knows that 20 years ago he wasn't doing so much of that, and now he's doing lots of it, apparently. Lots of cosmetic stuff. And the whitening, it's a whole thing. He actually put an extra room in his clinic and trained up had his staff specially trained and everything to do this new procedure that whitens teeth, which he said, you know, he'd never done such a thing, never needed such a thing before. There's no demand for it. So interesting, isn't it? Interesting. It's a fashion change, really. It should be on our fashion playlist, but it's a fashion change because it's cosmetic. You know, it's purely looks, it's purely fashion, but the old days of crooked teeth and that sort of thing's fading away, and the straight white teeth has become the desired look. So anyway, that was random, wasn't it? More videos coming soon.